This story is very meaningful. Everyone should hear it. Listen to Brian tell the story. My name is Ethan John, a 25-year-old mechanical engineer from the outskirts of Chicago with a love for motorcycles and a wife I thought I'd grow old with. I met Laura in college. She was a law student with big dreams, and I was the guy who could fix anything. We got married 3 years ago, dreaming of a 3-bedroom apartment with a nursery for the kids we'd have someday. Life was good until it wasn't. Now, as I sit here, my hands trembling with a mix of rage and relief, I can still hear Greg's mocking voice in my head. She needs a real man, Ethan, not a broken toy like you. That was the day he hooked up a monitor in my room, forcing me to watch him and Laura, my Laura, together, while I lay there paralyzed, unable to scream or fight back. It wasn't just betrayal, it was the start of a nightmare that nearly broke me. But I survived, and this is my story. It started on a Saturday afternoon, the kind of day where the sun hangs low and golden over the highway. I was riding my Harley, the wind whipping through my hair, feeling alive in a way only the open road can make you feel. Then came the flash of metal, a truck barreling out of nowhere, driven by some guy too busy texting to see me. The impact was a blur. 1 second I was free, the next I was airborne, crashing onto the asphalt with a sickening crunch. I don't remember much after that, just waking up in a hospital bed, tubes snaking out of me, my body a useless shell. The doctor said I was lucky to be alive, but all I could feel was panic clawing at my chest. I couldn't move, couldn't speak, only my eyes worked, darting around the sterile room in silent terror. 6 months later, they sent me home. I thought being back in our apartment would help, that Laura's familiar smile would pull me out of the abyss. We'd been happy there, cooking dinners together, planning our future. But when the hospital van rolled me through the door, I saw her face, tight, strained, like she was looking at a stranger. She tried at first. I'll give her that. She'd spoon-feed me, her hands shaking as she wiped my chin, but I could see the disgust flicker in her eyes when she had to help me with the bathroom stuff. It crushed me. I wanted to tell her I was still me, still the man who'd carried her over the threshold, but my voice was gone, trapped behind a wall of silence. That's when Greg and Callie stepped in. They were our neighbors, our friends, or so I thought. Greg was a lawyer at Laura's firm, tall and cocky with a grin that could charm anyone. Callie, his wife, was a nurse who worked night shifts, sweet and quiet, always bringing us leftovers from her shifts. Before the accident, the 4 of us would hang out, beers on the balcony, laughter echoing into the night. Now, they offered to help. Callie would check my vitals when she could, her gentle hands a small comfort. Greg drove Laura to work, saying it was no trouble. I was grateful at first, relieved to have people I trusted looking out for us. But then things changed. It started with whispers in the living room, Laura's soft sobs as Greg comforted her. I'd lie there staring at the ceiling, my heart sinking as their voices grew quieter, more intimate. One night I heard it, the unmistakable sound of kissing, then moans filtering through the walls from our old bedroom. My bedroom. My stomach churned, bile rising in my throat, but I couldn't move, couldn't confront them. All I could do was listen as my wife gave herself to him, the man I'd called a friend. It got worse. Greg started coming into my room after, his breath hot with whiskey, his eyes glinting with something dark. "You're nothing now, Ethan," he'd sneer, leaning close enough for me to smell her perfume on him. "Laura's mine. She doesn't even think about you anymore." Then came the monitor. He set it up one afternoon, a big screen on my dresser, wired to cameras he'd hidden in the bedroom. He turned it on, forcing me to watch them, her legs wrapped around him, her gasps filling the room, while he stood there laughing. I wanted to scream, to rip the damn thing off the wall, but my body betrayed me, leaving me a prisoner in my own skin. The abuse didn't stop there. When Laura was in the shower, Greg would come back. He'd lift me from the bed like I was a rag doll, his hands rough and cruel. He'd hurt me, physically, in ways I can barely bring myself to think about, taunting me the whole time. "Who's gonna stop me, huh? Not you." It happened 2-3 times a week for 4 months. Each time I'd lie there afterward, tears burning my eyes, shame eating me alive. Laura would breeze in later, oblivious or pretending to be, chirping about how great it was to have Greg helping me. I couldn't tell if she was lying or just blind. One day, everything shifted. I was still reeling from Greg's latest visit, my body aching, my spirit shattered, when Laura walked in with a stranger. The pain was a dull throb, a constant reminder of my helplessness, and my chest felt hollow, like someone had scooped out everything I used to be. I'd spent the morning staring at the ceiling, counting cracks to keep my mind off the humiliation, when the door creaked open. Laura's footsteps were hesitant, not the confident clicks I remembered from before the accident. "Ethan, this is Dr. Franklin Victor," she said, her voice trembling, like she wasn't sure she wanted to be there. I flicked my eyes toward the man stepping into the room. He was older, maybe late 50s, with thinning hair and a thick German accent that rolled off his tongue like gravel. His sharp blue eyes locked onto mine, piercing through the fog of my despair. Behind him trailed a young woman, Anna, clutching a tablet, her dark hair pulled tight in a bun, her face unreadable. "I'm here to discuss a treatment," Dr. Victor said, pulling a chair close to my bed. His tone was steady, warm even, but there was a steel beneath it that made me listen. "We've been working on 3D printed vertebrae and nerve implants at my facility in Lake Arrowhead. I think we can get you back on your feet, maybe stronger than before." My heart thudded, a weak, desperate beat. Stronger than before? It sounded like a fairy tale, but his confidence hooked me. I wanted to believe it, needed to, because the alternative was rotting away in this bed while Greg and Laura tore my life apart. He leaned closer, his voice dropping. "It's experimental, Ethan. We replace your damaged spine with composite bones, stronger than the originals, and implant devices to heal your nerves. It's funded, no cost to you. Blink once for yes, twice for no." I didn't hesitate. I blinked once, hard, my eyes burning with a mix of hope and fear. Laura shifted behind him, her hands twisting together. "Where are you taking him?" she asked, her voice sharp now. "How long will he be gone?" Victor didn't even glance at her. "He's agreed, Mrs. John," he said coldly. "He's paralyzed, not incompetent. We'll handle it from here." Her lips parted, but no words came out. I could feel her staring as they wheeled me out, her presence a weight I was desperate to shed. In the parking lot, I caught a glimpse of her through the van's tinted window, standing there, arms crossed, her face a storm of confusion and something I couldn't name. Guilt? Panic? I didn't care. The van pulled away, and for the first time in months, I felt a flicker of freedom. The ride to Lake Arrowhead was a blur of trees and highway, my mind racing with what-ifs. What if it worked? What if I could walk again, confront Greg, take back my life? What if it failed, and I was stuck like this forever? The facility loomed ahead, all sleek glass and white walls, a stark contrast to the dingy apartment I'd left behind. They rolled me into a room that smelled of antiseptic and hope, where a team of nurses descended like angels in scrubs. One of them, Megan, caught my eye. A redhead with freckles dusting her nose, her green eyes soft but bright. "We've got you, Ethan," she said, her voice like a balm as she adjusted my IV. I wanted to thank her, but all I could do was blink. Dr. Victor came in later with Anna, who tapped away at her tablet, her expression still a mystery. "We're starting tonight," he said, checking my chart. "The sooner we operate, the better your chances." I blinked once, trusting him completely now. The nurses prepped me, undressing me, bathing me with careful hands, and I felt exposed, vulnerable, but oddly calm. As they wheeled me to the operating room, Victor's voice echoed, "My God, it's worse than I thought." I didn't know what he meant, and then the anesthesia hit, pulling me under. I woke up in a contraption that held me face down, tubes snaking from my mouth and arms. Panic surged. Where was I? What had they done? But then Victor appeared, his face creased with a tired smile. "You're awake. Good. The surgery went perfectly. We replaced 6 vertebrae and planted the implants. You'll feel tingling soon. That's the nerves waking up." He was right. By the next day, my back itched like 1,000 ants were crawling under my skin. It drove me crazy, but it was glorious. I could feel something, anything, after so long. Megan became my shadow after that. She'd check on me at night, her soft humming filling the silence. "You're tougher than you look," she said one evening, adjusting my pillow. I wanted to smile, to tell her she was the first person in months who didn't look at me like a burden, but my voice was still locked away. Then came the night she saw the scars. She was changing my bandages, her fingers pausing over the marks Greg had left. Her breath hitched, and her eyes met mine, wide with horror. "Ethan, who did this?" Shame flooded me, hot and suffocating. I looked away, tears pricking my eyes. She didn't press, just squeezed my hand and left. The next morning, Victor sat beside me, his face grim. "We found damage, serious damage, and DNA. This is a felony, Ethan. Do you know who? I blinked once, my chest tight. Good, he said. I've called the authorities. That's when Detective Sarah Cole stormed in. She was all leather and steel, her dark hair pulled back, her brown eyes blazing with purpose. Her partner, Agent Davis, hovered behind, a quiet giant with a notepad. Mr. John, I'm Sarah, she said, pulling up a chair. I hear you've been through hell. Tell me everything. My voice was back by then, raspy and weak, but I spilled it all. Greg's taunts, the monitor, the abuse, Laura's ignorance or lies. Sarah's jaw clenched, her pen scratching furiously. That son of a bitch, she muttered. We'll nail him, and your wife, if she's in on it, she's done too. I swallowed hard. I don't know what she knew, I croaked. But she didn't stop it. Recovery was a battle. Nah, my physical therapist, was a blonde tornado with a German accent thicker than Victor's. Move, Ethan, faster, she'd yell, her hands on my hips as I gripped the treadmill bars, my legs shaking but obeying. Sweat stung my eyes, and my muscles screamed, but I pushed through, fueled by anger and a desperate need to reclaim myself. Megan stayed close, her presence a quiet anchor. One night, as we shared popcorn and watched some old movie, she turned to me, her cheeks pink. Am I doing something wrong? You never flirt back. I laughed, startled. Megan, I'm a mess. Still married, still figuring out how to walk. But you're amazing. She grinned, her eyes sparkling. Good to know. Then came Jake, the janitor. He was a wiry guy, mid-30s, with a limp and a crooked smile. He'd mop the halls at night, chatting with me when Megan was busy. Heard you're a fighter, he said one evening, leaning on his mop. I got hit by a car years back, messed up my leg. Victor fixed me up, though. You'll see, man, he's a miracle worker. Jake's stories kept me sane, but there was something off about him. His eyes darted too much, like he was hiding something. Trouble brewed when Sarah called. We raided your place, she said, her voice tense. Found cameras, videos, 36 clips of Greg abusing you. Bastard recorded it all. We've got DNA too. He's going down. My stomach twisted, relief warring with disgust. What about Laura? I asked. She's claiming she didn't know, Sarah said. But we found texts. They were planning to declare you incompetent, take your settlement, and split to Costa Rica. Rage boiled in me, hot and blinding. Get them, I said. She chuckled darkly. Oh, we will. Callie showed up a week later, her face pale, her hands trembling. Ethan, I had no idea, she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. Greg called from jail, begging me to bail him out. I checked his phone, saw everything. I'm so sorry. I believed her. She handed me a USB drive. Texts, photos, proof they were screwing around. Use it. I nodded, my throat tight. Thanks, Callie. You deserve better. She hugged me, her sobs shaking us both. The trial loomed, but a new wrinkle emerged. Jake cornered me one night, his voice low. Heard you're testifying. Watch your back. Greg's got friends, even in here. My pulse spiked. What friends? I demanded. He shrugged, limping away. Just saying, people talk. I told Sarah the next day. She frowned. Could be nothing, but I'll dig. Greg's firm's dirty. Might be deeper than we thought. Court day arrived. I walked in, no wheelchair, just me, my legs steady, my heart pounding. Greg and Laura sat there, orange jumpsuits clashing with their pale faces. I took the stand, my voice clear now, and laid it all out. The betrayal, the monitor, the abuse. The prosecutor played the videos, and I saw jurors flinch, some crying. Laura sobbed, I didn't know. But an audio of her laughing with Greg, he's a drooling vegetable, let's ditch him, silenced her lies. Greg smirked until the DNA hit, then his face fell. The judge hammered them. Greg got 450 years, 12 per assault, plus hate crimes and fraud. Laura got 15 for neglect and conspiracy. She begged me after, forgive me, Ethan. I stared at her cold. You're dead to me. Callie cleaned out our apartment, and Megan moved in, her laughter filling the empty spaces. We married by the lake, her red hair glowing, and when she told me we were expecting, I felt whole again. Sarah called months later. Greg's firm's a cesspool, corruption up to the top. Testify again? Her voice crackled through the phone, sharp and urgent, pulling me back to a past I'd been trying to bury. I was in our kitchen, Megan humming as she chopped vegetables for dinner, her belly just starting to show under her sweater. The normalcy of it, her laughter, the smell of garlic, felt like a shield against the ugliness Sarah was dredging up. But justice mattered. Closure mattered. "Yes," I said, my grip tightening on the receiver. "For all of it." Jake's warning lingered, his cryptic words about Greg's friends echoing in my head like a distant storm. I glanced at Megan, her red hair catching the light, and felt a surge of resolve. With her and our growing family, I knew I'd face anything. The cloud was dark, but my silver lining was brighter than I'd ever dreamed. Life had settled into something good after the trial. Megan and I moved into a small house just outside Chicago, a fixer-upper with a porch and a yard big enough for a kid to run in. She'd quit Lake Arrowhead, trading night shifts for a part-time gig at a local clinic so she could be home more. I'd started working again too, consulting for an engineering firm from home, my hands steady on blueprints for the first time in years. Doctor. Victor checked in every few months, his x-rays showing my spine stronger than ever, the implants a quiet miracle. But the call from Sarah cracked that piece open. "It's not just Greg," she said. "McMaster and Williams is a front, money laundering, witness tampering, you name it. Your testimony could blow it wide open." My stomach twisted. I'd thought Greg was the end, but he was just a thread in a bigger web. That night, I told Megan everything. We sat on the couch, her legs curled under her, a mug of tea cradled in her hands. "You sure about this?" she asked, her green eyes searching mine. I nodded, though doubt gnawed at me. "I have to. If they're hurting people like he hurt me..." My voice broke, and she reached for my hand, her touch warm and steady. "Then we'll do it together," she said. "But promise me you'll be careful. Jake's warning, I don't like it." I squeezed her hand, forcing a smile. "I promise." The next day, Sarah and Davis showed up at our door. She looked tired, her leather jacket scuffed, but her eyes burned with purpose. Davis carried a thick file, his quiet presence a steady contrast to her fire. "We've got depositions next week," she said, spreading papers across our dining table. Emails, bank records. Greg was small time compared to this. The partners knew he was unstable, kept him around because he was good at dirty work. I scanned the pages. Names I didn't recognize. Sums of money that made my head spin. "Why me?" I asked. Sarah leaned in. "You're the face of what they let happen. A paralyzed guy they thought they could bury. You walking into court again? That's a story they can't spin." Preparing for the deposition was like reliving the nightmare. I'd sit up late, poring over evidence with Sarah, my mind flashing back to Greg's sneers, Laura's fake tears. Megan would find me there, hunched over the table, and wrap her arms around me. "You're not alone in this," she'd whisper, her breath warm against my neck. But Jake's words haunted me. One night, as I locked up, I saw a shadow across the street, a man in a dark coat watching. My pulse raced, but when I blinked, he was gone. Paranoia, I told myself. Still, I started checking the locks twice. The deposition was in a sterile office downtown, all glass and steel. I wore a suit Megan picked out, my hands clammy as I faced a table of lawyers in pinstripes. Sarah sat beside me, her jaw set. They grilled me for hours, about Greg, the abuse, the firm's negligence. "Did you ever suspect McMaster and Williams condoned this behavior?" one asked, his tone slick. "I didn't suspect anything," I snapped. "I was too busy being tortured in my own home." The room went quiet, and I saw Sarah smirk. But as we left, a man brushed past me in the hall, tall, scarred, his voice low. "Drop it, John, or your pretty wife pays." My blood froze. I spun around, but he'd vanished into the crowd. I told Sarah outside, my voice shaking. "That's no coincidence," she said, her eyes narrowing. "They're scared. We're close." She assigned an unmarked car to watch our house, but it didn't ease the knot in my chest. That night Megan woke me, her hand on my arm. "Someone's outside," she whispered. I bolted up, peering through the blinds. A figure stood by our mailbox, cigarette glowing in the dark. I grabbed my phone to call Sarah, but he flicked the butt and walked off. "I'm done hiding," I told Megan, anger overtaking fear. "They don't get to win." 2 days later, it escalated. I was in the yard, tinkering with a lawnmower, when a black SUV screeched up. 2 guys jumped out, big, rough, one with a scar like the man from the hall. "You're done talking," Scarface growled, swinging a bat. I ducked, adrenaline surging, and tackled him, my new strength catching him off guard. We grappled, my fist connecting with his jaw, until the second guy yanked me off. Megan screamed from the porch, phone in hand, and neighbors poured out. The SUV peeled away as sirens wailed. I stood there panting, blood on my knuckles, realizing Victor's surgery hadn't just fixed me, it had made me a fighter. Sarah arrived within minutes, furious. "This is war now," she said, cuffing one thug the cops had nabbed. He spilled fast, hired by a firm partner, Robert McMaster, to shut me up. The trial came a week later, bigger than Greg's, the courtroom packed. I took the stand again, staring down McMaster, a silver-haired shark in a $1,000 suit. I told it all. Greg's crimes, the firm's cover-up, the attack. "They thought I'd break," I said, my voice steady. "They were wrong." The jury convicted McMaster and 3 others, decades in prison, the firm dismantled. Sarah hugged me after, a rare grin breaking through. "You did it, Ethan." Peace came slowly. Megan gave birth to our daughter, Lily, a tiny thing with her mother's eyes. We added 2 more kids over the years, Jack and Emma, filling our house with chaos and love. I wrote a book, Shadows Under the Light, about the dark days and the fight back. It sold well, but the real win was living. Callie remarried a doctor, sending us Christmas cards. Laura got out after 10 years, parole pinning her to a truck stop waitress job. I never saw her again, didn't want to. Victor's tech got approved, saving lives worldwide, and he'd visit joking about my bionic spine. One night, with the kids asleep, Megan and I sat on the porch, her head on my shoulder. "Worth it?" she asked. I kissed her, tasting popcorn and forever. Every damn second. The cloud had been a monster, but my silver lining was a family, a life, a strength I'd forged from the ashes. As I sit here reflecting on everything, the accident that stole my body, the betrayal that broke my heart, the fight that rebuilt my soul, I can't help but see the lessons carved into every scar. Life can hit you hard, knock you down to a place where you don't recognize yourself, but it's not the fall that defines you. It's what you do when you're down there. I learned that trust is fragile, a thread that can snap under the weight of greed or weakness like it did with Laura and Greg. But I also learned that strength isn't just muscle, it's the will to keep going, to claw your way back even when the odds are stacked against you. Dr. Victor gave me a chance, sure, but I had to take it, had to push through the pain and fear to find the man I could become. And love, real love, the kind Megan showed me, isn't loud or flashy. It's quiet, steady, a hand to hold when the dark creeps in. Maybe the biggest lesson is that justice isn't guaranteed. You have to demand it, fight for it, sometimes with everything you've got left. This story isn't just mine, it's for anyone who's ever been kicked when they're down, who's wondered if they're worth more than the wreckage they're stuck in. So I'm asking you, what's your fight? What's the cloud you're under? And where's your silver lining? Drop a comment, share your thoughts, tell me how you face the dark and come out swinging. Or maybe you're still in it, looking for a way up. Either way, let's talk. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and ring the bell so you don't miss what's next. Because if I can rise from that bed, from that hell, you can too. Let's keep this going together.